is Nainesh. I am a smartphone photographer and I recently traveled to a place called Panara Fort. It's in Kolhapur and I went with one of my friends, Nitin Patil. He's a great photographer. So we have taken a lot of photos here, and if you can see, it's in RAW format. I've taken it on my Realme 7 Pro. So it takes a lot of storage space to save all these photos. So I delete the JPEG files and I only keep RAW files. So today we'll edit this photo. First we'll start with crop. I crop it to 4:5 and I might flip it. So the best way to make a composition with the crop is to flip the photo vertically so you can see it differently. So you may not see it how you shot it, so you might end up cropping it differently. So this is fine. I think I used it a lot of times and it works, so you should try this. We'll increase the exposure, actually decrease the contrast, decrease the highlights. It's not blown out, there's nothing actually in highlights, so it's just plain white clouds or something. Increase the shadows. This is the importance of a RAW file. Everything is in check. Okay, let's move the whites. Okay, we'll control whites with the tone curve and not with white slider, because we can edit these sliders later, but we can't precisely adjust the tone curve. That's why I keep whites and blacks as flexible tools to play with. And then let's go to the vibrance. Vibrance is my favorite thing, because smartphone RAW files have no saturation, so you have to increase vibrance a lot. I'll keep saturation down to -20. Let's go to HSL. There's no blue in this, but we can bring blue in this. Okay, then I decrease this magenta color because there is some problem with RAW files. Sometimes in shadows it shows magenta tone, and it's actually noise. It's the data that is not captured by the sensor, so it is hypothetically automatically created something, so that shows magenta tone sometimes in the shadows, but we'll get rid of that completely. So I'll change the hue of greens to yellowish greens. We can go to pea green, but it looks bad actually. Use the luminance. So luminance is the brightness of the color, saturation is the intensity of that color, and hue is the tonal range of that particular color. So you have to play with this to get the best looking color in your photograph. So I'll just increase this one. So RAW files have tendency to decrease saturation of this color, this orange skin tone color, so you might need to increase it. Okay, let's not get into color grading right now. Let's first fix the other things. So decrease the clarity, -25 something. Increase the dehaze to -5. Increase the texture, reduce vignette, then midpoint, feather, all this. What you can do is make a preset for this. So this is general settings. You can apply the preset and the image is already good to go, so you can only play with blacks, whites, shadows, all the colors and tones and stuff like that. I haven't made it yet. I recently installed this, that's why. Okay, let's go to, I'm gonna reduce the temperature a little bit. I'm gonna reduce the tint a little bit, but it's too much of magenta. Okay, let's go to grading, put some blues in there in the shadows. So 215 to 220 is fine. I put 220 here, and saturation is about 14 to 16 on, depending on your photograph. So because it's not a sunny environment, there's no sunlight, direct sunlight, so you can't increase the highlights with a warm tone. So let's keep it down just a little bit. This is a global adjustment, and I don't think it sometimes applies to the highlights also. So there will be tint in highlight because it is applying this tone to the photograph globally. So I don't use it that much, but you can use it accordingly. Okay, let's go to tone. So if you take this point down, it will reduce the whites, it will take away whites from whites. So the brightest point is not there anymore in the photograph. And if you take this up, it will take blacks away from blacks, so there is no pure black in the photo, and with this there is no pure white in the photo. But if you do the opposite, now the whites are the brightest, the blacks are the darkest. You can use it sometimes, but I'm not using it here. I will just play with these lighters. Usually I make an S curve to make it look dramatic. I think this one looks fine. Put the blues in shadows. So sometimes it may not work, sometimes it might work. You have to go back and forth to fix it. So you can see there is this tint to the highlight, magenta tint to the highlight. So that just ruins the entire photo. So what we can do here is take away these two and okay, that's about it. Now let's put a little bit of blue in there. Yes, right. We'll do this with a mask, gradient, decrease the feather to this is the before, this is the after. I think it's tilted a little bit, so we'll fix this with perspective. You can crop it, but it will be better to fix it in the perspective module. I think this part should be dark and not bright. Okay, like that. This is before, this is after. I think it is getting darker because of the curves we have used. It is getting darker. So let's go to HSL and fix this. One thing we can do is just a little bit of all the tone curves. We can combine them to make the colors look more punchy. I think this looks better, so I'm going to put one more gradient here. A little bit smaller. And I'm going to increase the highlights and whites here just to introduce some light in the middle. So this is the final picture. You can add some grain to make it look more like a fill. So that's it. I think this looks good enough. So let's export this. Thank you for watching.